Oh, hey, I'm Joe Mack. Welcome back to the channel. Today, Pain, Kingdoms of Death by Christopher Ruocchio. It wasn't easier the second time. This book hurts. I mean, it's still a 10 out of 10. It's written very well. Even with the publisher, excuse me, even with the publisher forcing Christopher to split this into two books. It's a great book. It really grounds Sun Eater in reality, and it takes away any chance anyone has to argue that nothing bad happens to the main character or that there aren't real stakes. It doesn't make it any easier to get through. God, this is a rough book. You know, I think if you didn't hear it from me or read it online or hear it from anybody else, you wouldn't know that Kingdoms of Death was split into two books. And I think that that is a huge boon for it. I think that the pacing and structure and where Christopher decided to cut the book off to turn it into two, so the ending, if you will, I guess, in a shorter version, was a good choice. It doesn't feel like it was stopped short, especially for the emotions that this book pulls out of you and what it puts you through. It feels very fitting that the book ends the way that it does. So I think that there's huge kudos to be given to Christopher having to take something that was written to be one thing, split it into two, and still have it work as well as it does here. Classic Christopher fashion, we start this book with another time jump. We learn that Hadrian's been in another sort of exile prison on Nessus in Madalo House, and he spent a lot of time here serving as a consultant, if you will, for the planet. He is sent on some missions when there is no one else who can get the job done, and he accomplishes it every time. And eventually he is in front of the Emperor again, and he requests of the Emperor an opportunity to leave to accomplish tasks that he is of more use to the Emperor in an active role than a passive role. The Emperor agrees. He sends him to Padmarak to treat with the Lothrians. It's another civilization that we get to meet in the story. Civilization, just like they're human, right? But these are more of a communist people, and they try and rid self-identity. So we go to meet them, and there are signs. There are definitely signs, but they're not so clear. And when the shoe drops, I mean, it drops all the way. I feel like if you're here and we're talking about book 4, well, maybe you're watching this before you read it, so I won't. This isn't a book I can talk about too much without just ripping a spoiler warning right away and getting into it. You know, we have a pacing. It's a slower book. It's not painfully slow. That's in poor taste. It is a painful book to read, but not because of the pacing, but it is a steady, slower book. The emotional impact is enormous in this book. The furthering of the character study of Hadrian Marlowe and his journey to becoming the Sun Eater is continued and further developed. As I just touched on, the world building, which shows us the Lothrian Commonwealth as well as we get more insight into the mysticism, or the religious portion of the book with Watchers and the Quiet. Having said that, I'm going to say that from this point forward, I need to really talk about the specifics. So I guess this is a little fitting that we lost audio for everything that I recorded after the spoiler warning, and I did not find out about that until editing the video, and that I would be forced to go through the pain of recording this all a second time when it's about Kingdoms of Death, huh? Fitting. So, spoilers. What was I talking about? I was going to say that the signs, right, about the Lothrian Commonwealth, when they started talking about how they wanted to get rid of the different genders so that everyone would be the same, to further strip away identity of self and individualism. The second time through, I was able to connect that to the Cielsen, who are hermaphrodites, right, who have both organs that are necessary to procreate. And when the disappearances of the Lothrian people started to increase, and we learned about that, that was another red flag. And it's something that I don't think I picked up on originally when reading this. I think it's done well, where you can see that something is going, that it is pointing towards something, but it's not so blatant, right? That you would assume that these humans have partnered with the Cielsen. It makes sense for Minos. It makes sense for the Extrasolarians, insofar as we have seen Karn Sagara partner up with them and do business with them, right? And he is the Extrasolarian, right? So on the second time, on this reread, definitely noticed some of those things that were pointing towards what was about to happen. The imagery that's been created to deliver this dark distress for Hadrian on the reveal that the Red Company is going to be fed to the Cielsen with his uniforms laying on the platters is insane. I think the sequencing and the pacing throughout the Black Feast and beyond, with being reintroduced to the members of the Red Company that turns out are still alive, and discovering that Valka, Corvo, Polino, and Krim stowed away on, I think they are on the Ascalon the whole time, hiding, or wherever they are on the Tamerlane, but hiding and surviving for the 11 years to this point to try and save Hadrian, is done very well. I think it's very bold to kill them all. I think that it's fitting that the named characters had a chance to inflict as much damage as possible on the Viadon, and that all the other 89,994 people just got absolutely slaughtered. Everyone went out with a bang. Everyone got their last hurrah. And in this story, it was an unfortunate necessary evil for that to occur. I think that the impact was incredible because of it. Extremely sad, terribly traumatizing for Hadrian after all the torture and everything that happened, to see all of his friends die one by one around him. But he gets away with Valka with their sacrifice, and just incredible decision making by Christopher for this book. Very bold to play it out like that. Really wonderful stuff. The decision to go back to Colchis, to find out that Gibson is still alive, to play through the time that Hadrian spends with Gibson, and ultimately having Gibson die, all within this book instead of within the next one, I think was obviously deliberate choice, but I believe that it was definitely the correct choice, because thematically, death is what this book is about. So playing through that for this book, I think, was the right move. I think that it allows us to move on in what was supposed to be the second half and have that book serve its purpose like a phoenix and rise from the ashes of man. The biggest question that this book presents to us is what exactly is going on with Syriani Dorayika. Okay. His blood's different. What is growing inside of him? Is the vision that Hadrian has about him accurate and exact, or is it more of a message about what it could be or whatever's happening inside of him, where it's coming from? And that's the big mystery from this book going forward, without any insight from further books to play on it. I haven't read, as you've heard, and this is like the 5th video now about this because of the Road to Gadadin, that I haven't read Disquiet Gods. So any reveals in that book about what's going on with Dorayika, I don't have. So it's going to be very exciting for me when I finally get to Disquiet Gods in October before Shadows Upon Time to learn what is going on with him and what sets him apart and what really makes him different from the other Cielsen. So what did you think about how Christopher handled splitting this book into 2? Did you suffer as much as Hadrian did when reading Kingdoms of Death? How did you feel about how dark this book was in the space opera that we've had so far? And what do you think is going on with Syriani with the Shiomu? I'm struggling saying that name. Let me know. Get in those comments. Love you. Bye.